Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned, because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
I got to tell you, everybody, I'm so excited about this show. I'm like jumping out of my chair. I'm like thinking, how am I going to get this done in a half hour? I'm going to tell you why. Your inner, I'm going to say the word, billionaire. Now, I want to tell you about this. Debbie Dobbins joining me here today, author of the book, so much more. If I had to pick a coach I needed in my life right now, it would be Debbie. Why? Because you see, when you're shifting your mindset, and I want to just tell you a little bit about Debbie, but you're going to hear about it from Debbie. When you shift your mindset, when you realize that when I started the network in 2009, I did the show with Collins. It was very hard for people, but especially women, to say the word billionaire. It was so difficult, couldn't get it out. We had just learned how to say millionaire. But here comes Debbie. And what I love about what you're going to hear today is she and I, rebel, understatement, higher consciousness entrepreneurs, come on now. But the question then becomes, how do you rewrite your story? How do you rewrite? How do you realign your energy? How do you do all of the above about money, power, and purpose? And somebody asked me a while ago, and I'm going to hold this question because I'm going to bring Debbie on, but they asked me a very interesting question. I get a lot of interviews these days because they know about our launch. But when you're looking at feminine energy, intuition, radical reinvention, she healed herself, she rebuilt her wealth, she reimagined success, and that's why she is here today with us. Debbie, I'm so excited to have you here, really jumping out of my skin for real.
It's like, first of all, that intro, I was thinking, is she talking about me? Because it was beautiful. And yet, you know what? I also know, see, I'm going to start crying already.
Yeah,
it's
me
that
too.
consciousness, because we see each other as mirrors. And that is what I think is so magnificent about the world. I remember back in the day in 12-step programs, they'd say, you spot it, you got it. And they were
I'm in a 12-step.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, it was in reference to if you spot something that you didn't like, you have it. So, reflect back. But also, I have adopted this for decades now, is I also, if I spot greatness in somebody else, I have that. We can't see it unless we have it. So that's what's so beautiful, is just to have an intro, because I felt seen and heard, but also I know that that's because I'm just going to call this out.
Do it.
We are wise women. We have been around. And I'm going to tell you something. There is something about, for me anyways, about being 70, that it's because I have experienced life. And you cannot get this wisdom. I mean, there are some wonderful people that are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old that have had experiences. But I love being wise, because that just comes with being here and experiencing so many things. So yes, I've been through the gauntlet a number of times in different ways. And what I know is we can be, do, or have whatever we want. And as you said, women, especially, first of all, I wrote that book and used that title on purpose. And I didn't even know, literally, I wrote it in Playa del Carmen last year, published it January 1st of this year. And little did I know that even the word would be a trigger for a lot of people right now, right? The word billionaire. And it isn't about having $1 billion in your bank. It's having $1 billion in your heart, which translates to money and prosperity and friendships and relationships and all these beautiful things that are the abundance of our lives. And yes, it pushes the envelope. The word billionaire pushes somebody to get their brain a little frazzled, because our brain is so limited and it doesn't even know how to comprehend that. So therefore, the possibilities are open and unlimited to what we can actually see in our lives. So thank you for mentioning that, because it truly is. It's so challenging for somebody to get their mind around that, but yet it is so beautiful, because that's the space we want to be in. We want to be in that mystery of not knowing the how. That's what I say every day. I don't need to know the how. I just need to know the vision. Hold my
Exactly.
vision. The universe unfolds it. It conspires to create it every single day and surprises me every single day.
I love this. I want to tell you why I love this conversation. Let's do this. Of course, they send me a million questions, read the book. I've done all that, but that's not the conversation today. The conversation today is what you've incorporated and bringing forward to help. And I'm going to go to women for a minute, if you don't mind. I'm not saying it's just for women. 500,000 women have left the workplace. What? What happened? What are they flocking and fleeing? Okay, that's another show. But here's what I love about this: your inner billionaire. Somebody asked me a question, Debbie, and I want you to comment on it. And I get a lot of interviews, I get a lot of conversations, but I'm like you. Mom commits suicide, was an addict, alcoholic. I was that for most of my life, 35 years clean and sober. Thank God for that, because now I know I've got a brain. But these ideas, starting this network in 2003, somebody the other day did a show with me and said, Pat, you don't know you're a pioneer. And I just looked at him like, are we going to go to my age right now? And she said, do you know? No. Why don't I know? Because I started this based on the principles in your book, what was in my heart, not worrying so much about the billionaire, but I've always had an eye on a bigger target. So here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the principles, but I want to encourage people here. The epidemic we have, and I wish I could say I'm exempt. Now, I know I've got some tools, more than a lot of people. The epidemic starts with a D. It's not even the F word, fear, anymore, because you know what I'm saying? It's D. It's doubt.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Doubt infiltrated me in my early years as a sobriety. Can you really keep this up, Pat? Can you really do it? But can we talk a minute about the prosperity, abundance? Can we talk about how we put our life story in debt or negative bank accounts? What happens if we could shift that the way you have? Take us through your story and take us through what we can do to help people listening today, because that's what we can do in 30 minutes, and then you're going to come back.
Yeah. So when you're speaking and you're using the words doubt and you're using the words fear, and we all have that. And I actually just created this cute little PDF recently for somebody about language, about the scarcity versus the prosperity words. Because if we look at, I love the Bible as a spiritual metaphor for us.
I do
right?
too.
Not the the literal translation. But if you think about it, the first part of the Bible is, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Okay.
Yeah.
Word is Legos. I'm not good at my
I got you. I'm not good either. I'm not good either, but let me just tell you one thing. The only time I use that word is because if I don't use it in a show like this, the people that are listening are not going to get there's a solution, and you're giving it to them now.
Right. It is the word.
It is the word.
But it is our words. It's our words. It's our words, because word is everything about us. It's our energy and our frequency. So it shows up as a word, it shows up as a thought, it shows up as an emotion, and it shows up as an action. So those four legs of that table are who we are and how we create. So if all of those are who we are, and our language is, I can't afford it, I don't think I'm good enough. And it doesn't matter if you say it out loud, you're saying it in here, but you're creating that frequency. So we have to begin to, and I'm not a big fan of affirmations, because if I were to say, oh, prosperous beyond measure, right? My brain says, no, you're liar, pants on fire. So you have to have a bridge. So I'm willing to be willing to see prosperity in my life. You see that bridge that I just created?
Oh, yeah.
Because if we don't create that bridge for ourselves, we can't do this frequency thing, which is that emotional connection. But everything that we think, everything that we say, everything that we feel, and everything that we do is a prayer.
And
So
I love
literally,
it.
it is a prayer of creation. We are creating our own reality. So if we are not conscious and aware of everything that we're thinking, feeling, doing, and being, we will create what you said, the doubt, the fear, the all of these conversations. So we have to first, the very first step is to become aware of how programmed we have made ourselves to repeat all of those patterns. I do in the first chapter of the book about uncovering your money story, which is fabulous. We wrote the money story. We wrote it so we can write another one. That's the beauty, though. We programmed ourselves and we live in this 3D world that has been propagated with the idea that we have to keep doing the same thing over and over, and then the insanity of expecting a different result.
My
So I
God.
tell everybody, if you want to change and have the life that you dream of, you're going to have to change everything about yourself. And if you've been in 12-step programs, you know this. They tell you got to change everything. You can't bring the old you here and expect something else is going to happen. It just doesn't.
I know.
So, this is the good news and the bad news, because most people do not want to change because that comfort zone, that AI that we programmed up here, but it's all in the body. It's all in that place where we live of transformation. And so, the word, all of that is the first component. And then the second is to start being grateful for everything that you have right here, right now.
Amen,
Gratitude,
sister.
yeah, gratitude is the gateway. I have 2 chapters on it. That's how important it is. But people don't realize that gratitude isn't about writing a list. Oh, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. I call it gratitude on the go. Every day, all throughout the day, look at your life and go, "Oh my God, this is incredible." Because if you think about it, I've traveled to third world countries. We are so taking our lives for granted in these
Yeah.
Western world civilized communities. And just think about it. Just the fact that we're on this Zoom call. I've got a microphone in front of me. I had an opportunity to go to the gym today. I have a car that is, drives me everywhere. We don't take an opportunity to say, "Oh my goodness, I'm so grateful," because when we are grateful, we give that signal to the universe. Oh, they're grateful for what they have. I'll give them more. What we do is we live in lack, limitation, and victimhood. And when you live in those spaces, you get more of that.
Yeah. I am so excited about this because when I first started this, all of this was in my heart. All of this started the Transformation Network. We just, don't ask me why it took so long, but filed a couple of trademarks here a couple of months ago because intuitively, I don't know how I did it, but in your book, you talk about this. I had a hit, we need to shift our corporation. And I filed a trademark for the Transformation Network. I got a trademark person. She's brilliant. But what I did was I didn't hold back, and she didn't hold me back. So when they asked me what categories, I listed 82 lines of business for what the
Wow.
transformation is, what it's always been, but how we're not showing up today. I did the same for Dr. Pat. I trademarked. But I got to tell you, Debbie, I sent it to my trademark person. She didn't even blink. She said, Pat, they're going to want specimens. Here was the eye opener for me that helped me. This is why I came on the call and I said, I'm ready for the coach now because it's time for me to not just go big, but to go epic for the world. Jamaica said, you gotta do a specimen. I'm not going to go through the whole story. We provided with the trademark people something like 120 specimens for 22 years of work. They approved it within 2 weeks. Now, why? Let's talk about the universe, abundance, your abundance accelerator, and how things line up if we line up, right?
Right.
Nobody questioned me, not Linda, who helped me put it together. And I just started a new S corporation, August 13th, called the Transformation Network. How did that happen?
That's the thing, is we're not in charge of the how. And that's
That's
why
right.
it's so important. So I want to just take us back to a little history of the masculine construct that we live in, because I talk about feminine energy, and I don't mean it guys and girls. It's about that
No.
energy frequency that's in each and every one of us. You can imagine the yin and yang symbol, right? It's balanced. So I say from the neck up is the masculine, it's the analytical, it's the protection, it's the direction, it's the doingness. And from the neck down is the feminine energy. It's where our emotions are that actually create that electromagnetic energy. It's the intuition, it's the connection, it's the communication. But when you bring these two forces together, it is powerful. And you don't have to be in that doubt and that fear, because you knew the direction you were going. And that's when we let go of the how, because your intuition led you to that point, and then you just let the vision drive you. That's the thing that most people don't do, especially women, is they feel like they have to live in that one little box. And that is that vision. So I talk about future journaling in the book. It's just a process of visioning, not visioning with a direction per se, but it's visioning with your feelings.
Oh
So
my God.
imagine, that
Let's stop
I
and
want to
say more
have.
about that. You're onto it right there, because we got to stop for a minute and say more about this. Because you know why?
Okay.
Feelings
Yeah.
isn't that song. It is that song.
No,
But here's the
no.
thing, right? Let's talk about this and talk about for a minute. You know this 12-step program. If you don't get to your feelings, you are not going to stay sober, right?
Right.
But we so don't. We just need to rebirth ourselves in the feeling.
Yeah.
Is
Feelings
what is in
create,
it?
though. That's what happens. Our feelings have chemical signatures. Our emotions have chemical signatures. And so, this is just to give an example of a money story. You're growing up, you're 7 years old, and your parents don't have any money. And every month, the electricity man comes and shuts off your electricity. So, you have this emotional reaction when the man in the uniform comes up the steps, and your parents are arguing, and your brothers and sisters are crying, right? You download that, but then you experience a result of the feeling that's now chemically boarded into your body, that you look at money in a certain way. It's evil, there's not enough, it's hurtful, all of these things. And then we live from that space. So, in order to reprogram basically our bodies where the chemicals are, where the emotions live, we have to create new emotions. And this is the beauty of it, it's free and everybody can do it. Everybody could close their eyes right now, and I could lead you through a meditation of what it feels like to have your dream. Imagine what it is. But then who's there? What does it smell like? What are you wearing? What is the temperature outside? And that is when you bubble up all of those emotional feelings, that vibratory energy, I call it your frequency, has that electromagnetic energy that goes out into this beautiful infinite consciousness and comes back perfectly in that form. Now, here's the thing that everybody says, well, I'm doing all those things that you tell me to do, a week into it, and nothing's happening. Oh, okay. Well, let's say for 40 years, you've been practicing the same energetic force and the same pattern. So in a week, you think it's going to change? It's not like that, unfortunately. We have to be able to know that we're planting seeds of what it is that we're creating. And seeds, like a bamboo, is going to go really fast. An oak tree is going to grow really slow. So we're not in charge of the time frame. We are in charge of faith, trust, belief, and expectation. So when we set out a desire, then we sit and expect, like we went to a fancy restaurant and we gave the waiter, waitress an order. We don't go running back after them and into the kitchen and go, I don't think you're doing it right. Are you sure you got this order? How's it going? Right? We expect that it's going to show up. This is
Yeah.
the difference between what I call affirmative prayer and just pleading, please, oh, please, oh, please, right? We expect it. I create, I know who I am, and this is the energy from which I create, and therefore I declare my word as if it is already done. And then it is. And
Yeah.
it shows up in ways that I would have never imagined.
Oh my God. Debbie, I don't know if you can do this, but do you have time to really go a little bit longer past the half hour today? Or do you have
If
to
it's
jump
okay with
off?
you.
Huh?
No, I don't.
Oh, of course it's okay. We got the show, we got the producer. Boom.
Okay,
We're going to
go.
do it. And let me tell you why it's up for me and why the timing of this. I mean, there are no mistakes, right? In the universe.
No, never, never.
No mistakes. Um,
No.
got a lot of calls from a lot of people. I have a nonprofit which is coming off the ground. It's called Voices in Empowering Women. The acronym is VIEW. And they all know I have a career consulting, right? So I get a call and they said, Pat, are you watching the stats of women leaving the workplace? I said, yeah. And they started to talk to me in a not so like Dr. Pat, Pollyanna Patty way. And I
Mm,
said, I don't, I said, I kind of hear you, but I kind of don't. I said, what if that wasn't the scenario? What if these 500,000 or 330 at that, whatever that number is, what if they had an awakening?
hmm
What if they made a decision this year? It's a 9 year, so it makes sense to me. What if they made that decision because they saw a different future? What if they were
hmm
totally empowered?
hmm
What if they're not worrying about unemployment or, I mean, can you imagine that? Because that's what happened to me after 25 years in the job. I had to use language like lost my job. I don't use that anymore. But I wanted to
hmm
talk to you a little bit more about this because I love what you just said. This morning, got up, sat down with Linda, having our coffee, and we're talking. I have a couple of big decisions, but I decided I'm not talking about that. And I just went into my little preacher mode. So I want to talk about the spiritual part of this. I want to talk about how you say money is the most important relationship we have in the book. And yet, how many people do you know that have a hard time even saying money or that
Yeah.
saying, I desire money? So this morning I got my rant. I watch spiritual philosophy people. My backdrop audio is going all the time. But I got up and I'm like, thank you, God, for your favor. Thank you, God, for the favor. Give me a beautiful place to live. Thank you, God, for the Pacific Northwest. I'm a girl from the projects. How did I get here? I don't need to know. And I went on. Thank you, God, for Linda, my best friend since 1972. Thank you. And I went through the energy of that. It's so powerful.
Mhm.
I don't know how to describe that, but I would love for you to talk about it. I would love for you to talk about that energy that you teach, the tools, the shifts, the divine wealth activator, because this isn't just a book. This is your
hmm
life's
It's a
journey,
portal.
Debbie.
hmm
Come on
It's a
now.
portal. hmm
So let's start at the beginning about God, money, and
hmm
what you call God emotion.
Yeah.
Give that a
So,
kick around.
yeah, well, I say money is the most important relationship that we have because money is simply energy. It is a direct reflection of our self-worth and value. Whether we believe that or not, that is the truth. Now, what we have done with money, right, this symbol or a piece of paper, and we have given it power that says, this is my value. The money is my value. The money is our relationship with God, spirituality, consciousness, higher power. They're all interchangeable words. It is that energy source that is in direct relationship because if you think about it, if you really pay attention to it, there's an unlimited amount of money, if you will, out in the world on this planet. And why do we not have the amount we say we want? Because we're pushing it away, because we have these belief systems and these feelings that are surrounding this notion of money. And I blame it, a lot of it, on this whole notion of the industrialization of us all being clocking in at factories, et cetera, because all of a sudden, at some point, it was given a message was given to us that you are worth this much per hour. Like, that's not anybody. That's why I really encourage women to become entrepreneurs, because then you start to really see how your value and worth shows up, and know that you're contributing. If you really put yourself on a fixed income, which is a job, just over broke, you will continue to be stuck in that box. But that frequency of energy that's out there is unlimited. Money is the most important relationship because it is a direct relationship with you and your God that says, I trust, I believe, and I have faith that everything is working in my favor. As you said, I have this cute little 5-minute thing that I do in the morning. It says everything is working in my favor, because it truly is. Even if you think that it's not in the moment, if you can have the opportunity to look backwards, which you and I have, we can look back years and years and years, and we would not be right here if it wasn't for all the things that happened.
No kidding.
So therefore, everything, and it's so interesting, because right now I could be upset about one thing, which will be completely irrelevant in 5 years, even a year or 10 years from now. I won't even remember it. But the fact is, it's so important right now. So we have to constantly remind ourselves, everything is working in our favor. We are absolutely going to be the most beautiful experiences, because we all came here with a plan anyways. I don't know what anybody else's plan is. I'm not sure what mine is some days, but the fact is I just keep showing up in love and appreciation and connection and communication, and let that intuition thrive inside of me, because it will guide me where I'm supposed to go. But money is, because it's just energy, the most important relationship, because energy is the universe. And if we don't look at it that way, and we keep being stuck in this idea, we really are making this thing, this symbol, our God. It says in the Bible, if you want to believe that particular phrase, you will have no other gods before me, because it's just about our connection with ourselves. I don't have a specific religion, because they all have the same thread going through them. It's about love and oneness and all of that beautiful energy. So if we take ourselves away from the symbol and just connect with the fact that we are our source, connected to this universal source, because we're all connected as one. And I would love if everybody started doing namaste. The God in me recognizes the God in you. When I'm pointing at somebody else and calling them wrong or my enemy, I'm calling myself that. So we have to begin to reclaim who we are. And I think one of the things, especially about women, when I see chaos, I see beauty, whatever the chaos looks like for anybody, because all of this shifting and changing, the universe is moving towards this planet waking up the feminine, because the feminine has been, and I'm talking about the feminine energy. I'm not talking about women versus men.
No.
But that feminine energy of all those qualities has been so pressed down for so long. And when I hear 500,000 women have, left the workforce, I'm thinking, oh my God, they are on a path that is bringing the elevation and the energy up. I know this to be the case, and I have been waiting my whole life for this experience on this planet. I'm so excited, because yes, there's a lot of chaos going on. And at the same time, I know that you have to have chaos. This is how the universe works. Any kind of shift or change, you have to have chaos before you have order. And we're in the messy middle right now. We are in the absolute messy middle. But when we come out on the other side of this, oh my gosh, I am so excited to see what this planet looks like. I am absolutely thrilled.
I am too. And I'm so excited. We're going to stretch this show. We have this booked as a half-hour show. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to drill down even further. We're going to talk about the role that intuition plays. I think, Debbie, you and I are here because that is something that we've had. Whether it was the moment to intuitively decide to get clean and sober, or was the moment you decided to leave that 24-and-a-half-year job, or the school. It doesn't matter. We're going to talk about this and the tapestry that Debbie has created to really pull together this beautiful stitching of, no matter where you are today, it's a beautiful tapestry that can be created. When we come back, what is it that you will want to know about it? And do you believe that intuition can guide you in the way that Debbie's going to talk about it? But before we go to break, website, book, how do we get all the above? How do people work with you? Just give it to us. Give it all. Let's do it. What can people
Okay,
know?
so just go to my website because it's the portal for everything, and it's the www the Debbie Dobbins.com, because I am the Debbie Dobbins. There's been a lot of imposters out there, but I am the Debbie Dobbins. And you can get my book for free there. And there's a little section on the website about other freebies, some meditations, some mantras, some affirmations. So yeah, it's the hub, the Debbie Dobbins.
So I want to just say for you, if you're just tuning in, fasten your seatbelt. We're not done. We're going to stretch it. Your inner billionaire. Debbie Dobbins joining me here today. When we come back, do you want to know how to follow the breadcrumbs? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Everybody, welcome back to Dr. Pat Show. First of all, let me give thanks to Nick Johnson, intern, built the foundation of the network and the show for this music, and his band for creating it. Once we realized that we could no longer play Clocks by Coldplay, and I couldn't find their permission letter to continue to do it, Nick and his band created this beautiful music for the show. And I want to thank Nick, because Nick is one of those foundational pieces that we wouldn't be here without. Debbie, thank you for today. We're going to keep rolling here because we're really going to get into this, right? Why? Because what I'm finding, we have to keep talking about it. We have this interesting thing up here. And I think all of us need to be reminded, especially of the divine feminine. So before we start, how do we find out about this? How do we get the book? How do people work with you?
My website is the portal. It's the hub for everything. It's www.Debbiedobbins.com. And you can get the book there for free. Now it is a flip book, but because if you want to pay shipping, you can get my real book. I'll autograph it. It's going to be a collector's edition at some point. And there's some free bonuses on there, because one thing that I love doing is giving. That's one of the principles I teach in the book. And so the more I can give to you to support you, anybody on this journey, is so exciting for me, because I think I remember when I was 18 years old and I went to some self-help workshop or whatever, and they were charging thousands of dollars. And it's not like I don't charge $1,000 for a coaching client, but I thought, why can't I get this information for free? Because it just seems like it's so important. So I really want people to start getting on the path to creating the life of their dreams. And so just get on that website, and there's lots of freebies. So that's where you can find me.
I love it. I am really new to all this, because when I was 18, I was down at Stonewall in the Village making a ruckus down there. And y'all can Google Stonewall and figure it out. Look, I want to take this in the direction of the how-to, because part of your book and what you do is, here's where you are. Where do you want to go? And let's look at some tools. Let's look at some things to get there. There are a couple of things in mind, but the one thing that came up for me before we talk about, holy homework assignments and other things. I love the money date thing, by the way. I want to talk about the power of intuition and how it fits in, or maybe it doesn't fit in.
Yeah. Everybody has intuition. Everybody. So that's the first thing that I want everybody to hear, is you already have intuition, but it's like a muscle. And if you don't exercise a muscle, my 86-year-old mom is a perfect example of that. Her body is just so flaccid and so weak because she doesn't move. So intuition is something we practice, we hone, and we build a muscle. And I know that everybody has had an experience out there, and we can watch a television show, because men call it your gut, right? Or I have a hunch, and women may call it intuition, but it's that I call them the clairs, like the clairaudio, the clairvoyant. And so it's just listening. And I know that everybody that's listening has had an opportunity at some point in their life where they felt like somebody was talking to them, or they had a feeling or a sense that they should do something. And either they followed it and then they regretted it, or they didn't follow it and they regretted it, or they followed it and they thought, oh my gosh, what was that? Right? It's that supernatural part of us, because we are not just these five senses. And quantum physics has shown and proven that we're multidimensional. And so if we begin to recognize that we are not just these five senses walking around in a meat suit, that we are so much more than that. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, that when we connect to that spirituality part of us, right? It is literally just dialing a radio dial into that frequency. Then it becomes the part of us that guides us where we need to go. I can be walking in the park and just feel a nudge, go that way. And then I run into somebody that is going to, I'm either going to impact their life or they're going to impact my life. It's
Yeah.
beautiful when we begin to get still enough and reflective and conscious and aware that we can listen to that voice. And I've had it, sometimes it's yelling at me. I can literally feel like there's a megaphone in my ear. I'm like, okay, already. But it gets to that place when you start practicing it, that it is the guiding force in your life, because it is a feminine construct. It is a feminine energy. Masculine energy is about the analytics. It's about figuring stuff out. Doesn't mean that we don't want both of them. And yet, when we use that masculine construct with our minds, which I call it our little AIs, that we train how to behave, we can retrain it, but it's limited. And for me, I the word infinity when I was in 8th grade, I think. And it's such an interesting concept if you begin to try to wrap your mind around it. Infinity, there's no beginning, no end. It goes on forever. Like, because we're finite. So we can't hardly grasp it. But if you just let yourself be in that, oh my gosh, the universe is infinite and I'm part of it, then I can feel the connection. But it's the disconnection, the separateness, the duality that we believe is our reality. And that is where we miss the mark. That's what sin is, missing the mark. It's not hitting the target. So let's just all look at ourselves and say, wow, we are magical and we're unique, each and every one of us. This is what I find so interesting about influencers. Why do I want to be like somebody else? Me. That's it's so fun. So intuition is just always here.
I love it. And I love that we're talking about it because, part of this is you must have people that walk in or contact you and you work with them. And just like I do, I mean, I shared this on a show, so I'll share it again. Had COVID, got it 4 weeks ago, really lingered. I'm coming on the tail end of it. But I shared something interesting on a call, literally today. And I said, I went into this euphoric state. Yes, of course, I had all the other things that went on, but something happened, almost like an out-of-body experience. And from that, the ideas and the innovation that came forward. And I didn't question it. I just started to do them. I just started to do it. I just started to work on it. Create the S Corporation. Think about moving the company. First of all, we have to move the company from Washington State. Why? They just put a sales tax on digital company. Are you kidding? Like digital assets are going to have sales tax, right? Like if you create a graphic banner, you got to charge people. And I'm like, and I asked for the guidance and direction. But I want to talk to you about this because I also created a brand called Unstuckable. Finally got the trademark approved. Had 2 people literally try to snatch it right up and start to do t-shirts, and looks like they're going to go away. But I want to talk about what we can say to the people that are in the place where they feel like they haven't been able to move the needle. Where can we help them start today?
I get this question so many times, especially on podcasts, because it's like, well, I'm at the bottom, I'm stuck. And I say to everybody, the first chapter tells a story about when I was thinking my problems, my $500,000 tax lien was so much more important than somebody else's $1,000 debt, right? I was in a financial freedom class. And my spiritual teacher, she didn't say these words, but this is how I took it, because this is more or less how I coach. It's like, get over yourself. Like,
exactly.
I'm one of those I'm one of those tough love teachers. Like, I've had many coaches that, pamper your way through and let's examine this and let me tease this out. I'm like, okay, listen, you've told your story. I mean, I say this to a client, you've told me your story 15 times now. Okay, how many more times do you want to live in that story? Or do we want to start to look at a new story? And so wherever we are, first of all, we have to be grateful. And I often say that when I was completely flat broke on food stamps, being diagnosed with cancer, I could barely get out of bed. That was one of the most magical times of my life. In hindsight, maybe at the time it was very painful and I wasn't all that enjoying it. I also knew that that was the bottom. Like literally, that was the bottom. So I had
Yeah.
nowhere else to go but up. So I
Yeah.
think it's important for us to stop focusing. Well, it's not important. Whatever we focus on expands. So if I'm going to constantly focus on woe is me, this is where I'm stuck, this is my problem, guess what? You're going to get more of that because that's just the energy that we're creating. So we have to begin to focus on where is it that I want to have my life go and then be that energy. So I used to teach about goals when I taught leadership around the world. SMART goals. I'm like, they were not smart. But goals are very
I was
limiting.
just going to say something, but thank you for saying
No,
it for me.
I don't do goals. I don't do
Okay.
goals.
I don't
My
either.
intentions. My intention is to have a life that is full of joy and happiness and gratitude. And I can't have that life in the future until I become it now. So this is where people are missing the mark, is they're expecting that if they do certain steps, they do certain things, that then they'll get to that destination. Here's what the truth is. You be that now. So that person that is a billionaire, I often do this when I'm walking in the park. How would I walk if I was so well known in the world? And so, the bank account was just over, $1 billion. How would I walk? Like it's as simple as that. How would I greet people? Right? Because we are all in our mindset and patterns right now. And this is the result. So wherever you are, anybody is right now, it's a result of everything you've done up until this point. In order to have a different experience, we must be, not become. We must be something else. So we begin to feel the energy of that. How would that person, let's say that I wanted to be a radio personality, or I wanted to be a musician or a movie star or an astrophysicist. What does a person like that do every day? How do they get up? What do they think? How do they feel? What are they moving like? And who do they associate with? We have to become that energy in order for it to show up in form. So that's my first advice, if you will, to people, no matter where you are. And, there's amazing stories of all of these kinds of transformations. And this is the beauty of the internet now, and AI is even
Yeah.
more fun. If you were stuck wherever you are, like I'm a homeless person, I live in this city, I do this, I do that, and just pop it in AI or Google and say, give me 5 examples of somebody that has gone from there to whatever it is that I want to have. And I'm going to tell you something, they're going to pop up because we got billions of people on the planet. And then you say, oh my gosh, I want to go research what that person did. Because it doesn't mean you follow that exactly, but you start to be
Yeah.
what that energy is, because it's always there. I can't give you every scenario for every person who wants to become something. I can tell you, though, whatever we're doing now is creating the experience today. And if I want to see and experience something else, I have to be it. That energy frequency starts today in this moment, and I don't have to spend money to be
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I love this. 2 things hit me. One, I thank God for my first sponsor and how tough my first sponsor
Mm-hmm.
was. I got sober, clean and sober in New York. And I thank God that I did that for a lot of reasons. I also understand why they were like that, because then I became a sponsor. And when you're working with people that are close to the edge, I'm telling you, I could talk. I had one of my people walk into a meeting, pull out a gun, and shoot herself in the head. And I think if you see that one time, you understand that you either want to help people by being right there and helping them directly and firmly, or get out of it because you're not helping. So I love that you shared that. The other thing that's important is what I've learned from being homeless, what I learned from that short time being homeless in New York, I'm just saying, gave me the skills for what I'm doing today. I'm not kidding. Learned when you're begging for money at the Port Authority, you better not wear just one baseball cap. You better have the entire team's covered in New York, because the people, you got to put that cap on that represents the Yankees, and people going to walk by and they're going to look at you like, come on now. So I learned that. The second thing I learned about there are different spiritual practices, and no matter what you think, the Hare Krishna people saved my life one day.
Wow.
They did. They offered me food. They offered me clothing. They gave me philosophies. But the thing I learned most was from the hot dog guy owner.
Mm.
And it was my first test in the world. And it's a long story, so I'm not going to tell it. But I had to identify an ingredient in the guy's hot dogs because he caught me digging in the dumpster. Because if you dig in a dumpster for hot dogs, people put their leftover hot dogs they don't eat in bags, right? Because that's the hot dog market in New York if you buy it from a store. So that was my gift. I would go back, get in the dumpster. I knew what they were doing, how they were doing. I'd watch them put their garbage out, get it in there, and I'd get me my hot dogs. So the guy catches me one night. So here's the test. He said, you like my hot dogs? I said, yeah, they're delicious. He said, I'm going to bring you one out. Here's the deal. If you could tell me the secret ingredient, I'm going to give you a job. I just had a guy that I had to fire from a hot dog cart in Midtown. Needless to say, my grandmama used to do the same mix, and the secret ingredient was nutmeg. And he gave me the hot dog cart. And I realized that growing up being slow, there's a label for people like me, but growing up being slow, I have this gift. And I got to tell you, Debbie, this is what I want to wrap the show up with. I want to wrap the show up where we started, and how, no matter where you are in your life, you have a gift. The gift that I have this incredible visual memory. Can't read or write very well. I mean, I fixed that, but I couldn't then. So when the lines would form, I knew Luigi, his family, silk tie, shoes, Italian made. I knew everybody. I knew what Luigi, he wanted the onions with the sauce. The mustard goes on last. I mean, I knew everything I knew as kids. But here's what I learned. I learned a level of humility. One day, I spilt mustard on his shoes. I went to all the dollar stores and I found a pair of shoes similar. The man had $2,000 Italian-made shoes on. Didn't know it. But I went to the dollar store and they weren't called, and I got him shoes that looked like that. I brought it in. I said, Luigi, I'm replacing your shoes. Never said anything to me. I didn't know later. Took the shoes, gave him a free hot dog, came back the next day and gave me the mustard shoes. And I wore those mustard shoes for 10 years or more. But that was something I had never done. I had never learned that level of humility. I had never learned that. So in the time we have left, can you talk about the gifts?
Yeah. I just love that story so much. And I hope that people are hearing the essence of it, because that's when I talk about our individual uniqueness. There is not another human like any of us on the planet. And that's why it breaks my heart when I see especially young women, or women and men in general, that want to follow and be like somebody else, because we're just ourselves. And you were focusing on your gifts instead of your limitations, because there's plenty of people out there that have similar limitations. I didn't even hear your limitations in there. I heard those beautiful gifts, because if we begin to focus on our gifts, and that, as I said, whatever we focus on expands, it expands. And that secret sauce is that humility. And so just to put that in a fine pin here, that if we begin to, with our gratitude, be humble every day, and walk out into the world and say, how can I be of service in this world? Maybe it's to an animal, maybe it's to a human, maybe it's to an organization, but we have to begin to come from that place of humility and serving. And I don't mean just being a servant. I mean,
No.
being of service from your heart, from that place of humility, and bringing those unique gifts that every single person has, their own special one. We are unlike anybody else. And that is the beauty
Mhm.
of it, of being so unique. Do you know how many times I've been told that I'm a little extra? And that used to really hurt my feelings.
Me,
Like, right
me
up.
too, man. I got corporate performance reviews as an executive that say I'm from another planet. And, I never thought about it. And, now I know I am. Okay, just do a past life regression. Debbie, I want to thank you so much. Thank you for staying. One last question. Tell people again how they get the book. And thank you for all the gifts you're giving here today
Yeah.
and through the book. How do people get it?
The website is www.thedebbiedobbins.com, thedebbiedobbins.com. And the book is on there for free. There's a little link you can go into and get the book. You can get some bonuses. There's all kinds of freebies and meditation. So it's a portal. I love portals. I love portals.
I do
Portal to
too.
another dimension. That's where I go in meditation all the time. So we live in a multi-dimensional universe. And so there you go. I'll talk about that on another show. So
Thank you. And I
yeah.
want to tell you all can portal your way to that billionaire place. Debbie, thank you so much for today. I want to thank you, Emily, for staying with us a little extra time. And for all of you out there was a lot in this show that we talked about, but please go check out what Debbie is doing because you are unique. And I want to just say infinite, infinite possibilities. Please remember that. We'll see you next time.